Hey everyone, I'm back with another video, and I think everything is self-explanatory from here. I go through my eyeshadow palette collection and tell you the pros and cons of each. So without further ado, let's get started. The first one is the Sunset Boulevard palette from the brand J Cat Beauty. I was hesitant to buy this at first because I didn't know about the brand, but I mean, you just gotta try things. Pros of this palette are that there are really nice warm colors for those who like it. I really like warm colors, so this is totally my palette. It is cheaper than Morphe, and that's relevant because it looks like Morphe. And my thing about Morphe is that there are too many of the same shadows. Like, there's no way I need that many brown eyeshadows, and shipping is expensive as hell. So this is a great alternative. These are super pigmented. There are really big pan sizes, and it is super affordable. I got this from Ulta.com for $15. I don't know if it's still that price, but it is online only. The cons are that it is a cheap case, there's no mirror, it's not travel friendly, but that doesn't matter if you don't want to travel with it. It is definitely missing a highlighting shade, and there is a lot of fallout, and know that it's not a sparkly case. That's all eyeshadow there. As you can see, it's all fallout, but you know, that's a very minor setback if you care about the quality of the shadows, and that's a result of it being super pigmented. And pigmentation is a really big priority to some when buying eyeshadows. The second palette is the e.l.f. Matte for Matte 1. This is my ride or die everyday palette. There's a lot of hype with the more recent Matte for Matte palettes. I haven't tried them, but this one's color selection is my favorite. And as you can see, I've already hit pan in 3 of these because these are the shadows that I do wear every day. They are super blendable, and they're not super pigmented, which is both a pro and a con. This is great for beginners. I was a beginner 2 years ago who might go in with a really heavy hand, so this is great for controlled eyeshadow application. As a result of not being super pigmented, not a lot of fallout comes out, like with some high-end palettes. Like, I'm thinking Lorac here, lots of fallout with every swipe. Some cons are that there are no shimmers, so you can't really do a full eye look unless you do a fully matte one. I'm not a huge fan of the full matte eye look on myself, but it could look really good if you do it right, if you know how to do it, which I don't, obviously. And another con is that if you get all the $10 e.l.f. eye palettes, they all look the same from the outside, so if you keep all your palettes in one place and you're looking for a specific one, it might be difficult to find. And that can be kind of annoying, but other than that, that's all the cons that I have for this palette. And next up, we have the famous Naked Heat palette. This is a very good palette, but for 54 bucks, it better damn well be a good palette. A pro is that it has luxurious packaging. There is a nice brush that comes with the palette. These are super warm shadows. For those that like it, I mean, can you tell that I like warm shadows? I would say a con for me here is that there is no shimmery highlighting shade except maybe that one, but that one is more satin than matte or shimmer, but I personally wouldn't use it as brow bone or inner corner highlight. This palette is not super blendable, not as blendable as the e.l.f. one. I like to apply eyeshadow a certain way where I put it on first really messily and then blend, and this palette doesn't do well with that technique. But even still, I have found a way to make it work. And I feel like for $54, you can definitely get shadows just like these for cheaper. And there's nothing that unique about most of these shadows, except that one. I really like this one. It's red with some gold accents, and that is pretty unique to me. And the case is also magnetic. And next up, we have this one from Colourpop. I customized this one with 4 pressed shadows, and I gotta say these aren't as good as their Super Shock shadows, but this one is IOU, come and get it, save it for later, and Sideline. And, you know, I've never been one really for single shadows because you buy them and then you don't have a palette to put them in. But thankfully, this particular palette was free. I think I got it during a short promo where they gave palettes per each 4 shadows that you bought. So that is a pro. That Colourpop has a lot of promos, and it's very pretty, and it's very blendable as well. I'm saying this for the orange one because it's the only one that I tried to use as a transition shade, for which blendability is a very important factor. And some cons are that it is expensive as hell. Each of these were $4, and I remember this order coming around to a little over $20. Now, compared with the Naked Heat palette, where you get 12 shadows, 54 divided by 12 is 4.5, so $4.50. They're almost as expensive as a super high-end brand like Urban Decay, even though they are known as a quote-unquote affordable brand. And the e.l.f. one is $10 for 10 shadows, so you can do the math there. These aren't even that great, especially with some of the Makeup Geek swatches that I've seen, and those are $2 more, but it looks like they are so much better. If you're gonna go with Colourpop, go with their Super Shock shadows, trust me. Another con is that this palette is really big and clunky and not travel friendly, and I understand if it wasn't made to be travel friendly, but come on, there's just so much space there, and I wouldn't even put it in a bag because it's just made out of cardboard. And next up we have the NYX Ultimate Brights palette. I haven't used this as much. I bought this mainly to play with the colors. The pros are that it has a nice color selection for experimental eyeshadow looks. It's arranged in a very compact manner. There is no wasted space, and the case is very nice. I would trust it to not break if I kept it in a purse and I jostled it around. The cons are that it smells like ass. What I noticed about NYX products is that all of them have such a chemical smell. I love their lipstick formulas, but they all smell like death. And this eyeshadow palette in particular smells like ass, which is why I'm keeping it far from my face right now. It is not that pigmented, and it's expensive as for what you get. It's $18. There is a bright palette from BH Cosmetics that I'll guess is better. This is the Lorac Pro 2 palette. There are a lot of cool colors in here, so I haven't used it as much as I would have if I liked cool colors, but that is not a drawback of this palette just because I don't like the color selection. The pros are that there is a mirror. These last all day. There is a row of mattes and a row of shimmers, and you could totally create a full eye look if you wanted to, even though this white one isn't one I would use for highlighting because it's too papery for me. As you can see on my swatch here, it is super white and not as translucent as one would want their highlighter to be, but of course this is an eyeshadow, so that's okay. Another con of this is that it is made of cardboard, and for $53 I might have expected better. And another con is that the green one, which is one of the reasons that I bought this whole palette in the first place, looks like gray when you put it on your eyes. This is a small e.l.f. palette from their Beautifully Bare line, I believe. I haven't used it as much, but I bought it because of the nice size. Pros include being travel friendly. The whole thing is a mirror, and you can create a full eye look with this if you really wanted to. There's a shimmer shade, a shade to set down your concealer, a transition shade, and a crease shade, and even a shimmery crease shade if you wanted. And for the center of your eyelid, you can use the highlighter again. Cons of this palette are very few. It's kind of hard to open, but that's a very minor setback. It doesn't come with a brush, so it's not as travel friendly as I'd hoped. But you know what, that's okay because I don't know what kind of brush would fit in a case this small and if I would be able to use it at all. This is the For Girls on the Run palette from the brand The Balm. I got it from the Princess Project, which is an organization in California for high school girls to get free prom dresses, among other things like makeup and jewelry, and it was great. It was a good time. I got this palette for free, which was good, especially when I was in high school and jobless. Um, this is super pigmented. I used this to fill in my hairline during junior prom so that my hair would look fuller, and it worked. Cons, it's not really for girls on the run since I don't really know what kind of eye look you can make with 3 shimmers and 1 color that is literally the color of my skin, but I'm sure somebody out there in the world has made it work somehow with just this palette. But for me, it's not really useful, so I haven't used it in a really long time. And that is the last of my eyeshadow palettes. I will probably make a video like this just for my lipsticks if you like this video. You know what to do. Hit that like button, or subscribe, or neither, or both. I don't know. Bye, I'll see you next time.